My beloved child. Stop scrolling for just a moment, because what you are about to hear was not meant to pass by unnoticed. Something has shifted in the heart of the person connected to you, and heaven has been watching the silence between you grow heavier than either of you expected. Do not rush away from this message. Stay here, because there is a reason your spirit paused. There is something waiting for you in these words, something hidden beneath the distance, beneath the unanswered questions, beneath the brave face your soulmate has been wearing while their heart has been quietly struggling. They are closer to walking away than you realize. Not because they have stopped caring. Not because the connection was meaningless. And not because someone else suddenly became more important. The truth is far more emotional than that. They are thinking about leaving because carrying these feelings in silence has become too painful. They have been trying to convince themselves that walking away would bring peace, but every time they imagine a life where they no longer wait for you, something inside them breaks all over again. They are standing at the edge of a decision they never wanted to make, and what makes this moment so powerful is that they are not walking away with anger. They are walking away with a heavy heart, still loving, still wondering, still secretly hoping that something will happen before they take that final step. Pause here for a moment, because the next part matters. Your soulmate has been replaying something in their mind. A conversation, a moment, a silence, perhaps even a look that seemed small at the time but became enormous in their heart. They have returned to it again and again, trying to understand what it meant. They have questioned whether they misunderstood you. They have wondered whether your distance was protection, confusion, fear, or simply a sign that they were no longer wanted. And the hardest part is this: they never received the clarity they needed. So they began creating answers in the silence. That is what the heart often does when it does not know the truth. It fills empty spaces with fear. It interprets delays as rejection. It turns quiet moments into painful conclusions. Your soulmate has tried to stay strong, but strength has not stopped them from feeling. It has only taught them how to hide it better. They may have laughed around others. They may have acted normal. They may have spoken as though everything was fine. But when they were alone, the truth returned. They missed you. They missed the version of themselves that felt hopeful because of you. They missed the feeling that something meaningful was forming, even if neither of you fully understood it yet. And now they are tired of wondering whether they imagined the depth of it all. Do not skip this moment, because something deeper is about to be revealed. Your soulmate has not been asking for perfection. They were not waiting for a dramatic promise, a flawless confession, or a grand performance. What they wanted was something much simpler and much more powerful. They wanted reassurance. They wanted one honest sign that the connection mattered to you too. One moment that would tell them they were not carrying the entire emotional weight alone. But when that sign did not come in the way they expected, they began to withdraw. Slowly. Quietly. Almost invisibly. First, they stopped expressing certain feelings. Then they stopped asking certain questions. Then they began telling themselves not to expect anything. They thought lowering their expectations would protect them, but instead it made them feel even more alone. Every time they tried to detach, a memory pulled them back. Every time they said, "I am done," something in their heart whispered, "Not yet." This inner conflict has exhausted them. They are caught between love and self-protection. Between hope and disappointment. Between the desire to stay and the fear of losing themselves while waiting. And heaven has seen every moment of it. Heaven saw the night they stared at the ceiling and wondered why this connection felt so strong but so difficult. Heaven saw the moment they almost reached out, then deleted the message because they were afraid of appearing too vulnerable. Heaven saw them open your profile, revisit an old memory, or quietly search for some sign that you still cared. Heaven saw them pray for clarity, even if they did not use spiritual words. Their heart asked the question their lips could not speak: should I keep believing in this, or should I finally let go? That question has followed them everywhere. It followed them into busy rooms. It followed them through conversations that could not hold their attention. It followed them while they tried to focus on work, sleep, responsibilities, and ordinary life. Because some connections do not disappear simply because we decide they are inconvenient. Some emotions remain because they are unfinished. Some bonds keep speaking because there is still truth waiting to be revealed. And this connection has not gone silent. It has only gone beneath the surface. Listen carefully now. Your soulmate is not planning to walk away in order to punish you. They are not creating distance to manipulate you. They are trying to save what is left of their heart. They feel that if they stay in this uncertain space much longer, they may begin to lose their confidence, their peace, and the part of themselves that once believed love could feel safe. They are asking themselves questions they never expected to ask. Why do I care this much? Why can I not forget? Why does this person still feel close even when they are far away? Why does every attempt to move forward feel like I am leaving something important behind? And there is one question that frightens them more than all the others. What if I walk away just before everything was about to change? That is why this moment is so delicate. They are not fully gone. Not yet. But their heart is preparing itself for departure. They have begun imagining what life would look like if they stopped waiting. They have tried to picture themselves becoming emotionally unavailable to this connection. They have told themselves they will no longer look for signs, no longer hope for messages, no longer interpret coincidences as meaning something. Yet even while they make these promises, they do not fully believe them. Because the heart knows when a story is unfinished. And your story feels unfinished. There is something neither of you has said. Something neither of you has faced. Something that has lived in the space between you for longer than either of you admits. Perhaps both of you have been waiting for the other person to make the first move. Perhaps both of you have been afraid that honesty would create rejection. Perhaps one of you thought distance would create clarity, while the other experienced that distance as abandonment. This is how two people can care deeply and still misunderstand each other. This is how love can remain present while communication disappears. This is how a bond can feel powerful and painful at the same time. But there is more. Your soulmate has recently reached a private emotional turning point. Something happened within them. It may not have been visible to anyone else, but it changed the way they began seeing the situation. It could have been a dream, a conversation, a memory, a song, a sudden realization, or simply the emotional weight of missing you at a moment when they could no longer pretend. Whatever triggered it, they understood something. They realized they could not continue living halfway between holding on and letting go. They needed to choose. And that choice is closer than you think. Stay till the end, because what happened next inside their heart is the reason this message found you now. They tried to choose themselves. They tried to say, "I deserve peace." They tried to convince their heart that leaving was the brave decision. And in many ways, they were right. Protecting the heart can be an act of strength. Refusing to remain in uncertainty forever can be an act of self-respect. But as they prepared themselves to step back, something unexpected happened. Instead of feeling free, they felt grief. Not ordinary sadness. Grief. The kind of emotion that appears when the heart believes it is losing something sacred. They realized that walking away from you would not feel like closing a small chapter. It would feel like abandoning a story that had changed them. It would mean accepting that the questions might never be answered. It would mean carrying the possibility of what could have been into every future connection. And suddenly, their decision did not feel simple anymore. They began remembering the smallest details. The way you once made them feel understood without saying much. The way your presence changed their mood. The way they could feel you even when you were not physically near. The strange peace and tension that existed at the same time. The moments when they sensed there was more between you than either of you was ready to name. Those memories did not weaken with time. They became clearer. And that frightened them, because they were hoping distance would erase the connection. Instead, distance revealed its depth. Something huge is waiting for you in this message, but you must understand the emotional truth first. Your soulmate is not only struggling with whether to leave. They are struggling with whether they were ever truly seen by you. They want to know if you noticed their loyalty, their patience, their silent efforts, and the many times they stayed emotionally present even when they received very little certainty in return. They wonder whether you understood the risk they took by caring. Because to them, this was never casual. Even if they behaved carefully, their heart was involved. Even if they stayed quiet, they felt deeply. Even if they acted distant, part of them was always waiting for you to come closer. Their silence was not emptiness. It was vulnerability hidden behind control. And your silence, whether intentional or not, became the mirror they feared most. It made them wonder whether they had built hope around something that existed only inside them. But here is the truth they do not know. You have also been affected. You may have had your own fears, your own timing, your own confusion. You may have believed you needed to become stronger, more certain, more healed, or more prepared before speaking honestly. You may have thought waiting would protect both of you from making the wrong move. But time does not always explain silence. Sometimes silence simply becomes silence. And hearts begin making decisions without the truth. This is why heaven is pressing on this moment. Not to create panic. Not to force an outcome. But to awaken honesty. Because a connection cannot survive forever on assumptions. It needs truth. It needs courage. It needs someone to step beyond pride, fear, and overthinking. Your soulmate has reached the place where they no longer need perfect words. They need something real. Something that tells them the story they felt was not imagined. Something that shows them their heart was not foolish for staying open this long. And there is still time. But the window is becoming smaller. They have begun emotionally packing away the hope they once carried. They are trying to place each memory into a quiet corner of their heart. They are telling themselves they will keep the lesson and release the longing. They are preparing to become the person who no longer waits. Yet every time they get close, they hesitate. Why? Because something inside them keeps sensing you. They may not know how to explain it, but they feel as though your energy has shifted too. They sense that you are thinking more deeply. They sense that something unspoken is rising within you. They sense that the distance is beginning to affect you in ways you can no longer ignore. This is why they have not walked away completely. Part of them is waiting for one final sign. Not a dramatic miracle. Not an impossible gesture. A sign of sincerity. A sign of emotional presence. A sign that says, I see you. I know this has been difficult. You mattered to me even when I did not know how to show it. That truth could change everything. But there is another layer, and this is where the mystery deepens. Someone around your soulmate may have noticed the emotional change in them. A trusted friend, family member, or someone who has observed their silence may have asked a question that struck directly into their heart. Perhaps they asked, "Why are you still holding on?" Or, "What are you afraid to admit?" Or even, "Are you sure you want to let this person go?" That question stayed with them. It forced them to confront what they had been avoiding. They were not only afraid of staying. They were afraid of leaving. Because leaving would mean accepting that love was present but courage was absent. And that realization shook them. They began to understand that sometimes people do not lose each other because love disappears. They lose each other because both are waiting for certainty before offering vulnerability. Both are trying to protect themselves. Both are reading silence instead of speaking truth. Your soulmate does not want this connection to become one of those stories. But they are tired. Their heart has carried hope for too long without knowing where to place it. They are not asking heaven for a fantasy anymore. They are asking for direction. Show me whether to stay. Show me whether this person feels what I feel. Show me whether this silence has meaning, or whether I must release it. And something has begun answering them. Not through a loud voice. Not through a dramatic sign. Through an inner knowing. They feel a final moment approaching. A moment where something will either reopen the connection or gently close it. A moment where truth can no longer remain hidden. A moment where both hearts will be forced to see what fear has done. This is the crossroads. And your soulmate is standing there now. One path tells them to walk away and rebuild without you. The other path tells them to take one more emotional risk. They do not know which path will bring peace. But they know they cannot remain where they are. The suspense you feel is not accidental. Something is moving. A conversation is forming in thought before it becomes words. A decision is developing beneath the surface. A truth that has been delayed is becoming too heavy to carry. And what makes this moment extraordinary is that the decision may not happen in the way you expect. Your soulmate may not announce their departure. They may simply become quieter. They may stop checking. Stop waiting. Stop leaving the emotional door open. From the outside, nothing dramatic may happen. But inside them, everything will change. That is why the moment before someone emotionally lets go is often the most important moment of all. Because once the heart accepts an ending, it begins learning how to live without the answer it once desperately wanted. Your soulmate is not there yet. But they are close. They have been sitting with words they have not sent. Thoughts they have not shared. Emotions they have hidden because they were afraid their honesty would not be met with care. They have imagined telling you everything. How deeply the distance affected them. How many times they almost reached out. How often they felt foolish for caring. How much they wished you would simply acknowledge what existed. But each time, fear stopped them. They were afraid that revealing their heart would place all the power in your hands. They were afraid you might respond with indifference. They were afraid your silence already was the answer. And still, they hoped. That is the contradiction they live with. They are preparing to leave while secretly wishing you would ask them to stay. They are trying to release you while still feeling emotionally tied to you. They are telling themselves the chapter is over while their heart keeps turning back to the same unwritten page. Do not mistake their withdrawal for lack of feeling. Sometimes the person who walks away with the heaviest heart is the one who loved most quietly. Sometimes the person who becomes silent is the one who has already said everything internally 1,000 times. Sometimes distance is not the absence of love. It is the exhaustion of carrying it alone. And now, heaven is bringing your attention to this not so you can chase, force, or fear. This message is calling you into emotional truth. It is asking you to examine what your heart already knows. Have you been hiding behind timing? Have you been waiting for perfect certainty? Have you assumed that if the connection was meant to be, it would survive without communication? Some bonds are divinely significant, but even meaningful bonds require human courage. A door can be blessed and still remain closed if no one reaches for the handle. A connection can be real and still be lost through fear. A heart can care deeply and still choose peace when uncertainty becomes too painful. Your soulmate is learning this now. And so are you. There is still more to uncover, because the heaviest part of their heart is not only the fear of losing you. It is the fear that you will finally understand their value after they are gone. They wonder whether their absence will say what their presence could not. They wonder whether you will notice the quiet when they stop waiting. They wonder whether you will feel the shift when they finally pull their energy back. They wonder whether you will search for them emotionally only after they have taught themselves not to hope. That thought breaks them. Because they do not want to be missed too late. They want to be chosen while they are still standing at the door. They want to be understood before their heart becomes too tired to explain. They want honesty before distance turns into a permanent habit. And yet, a part of them still believes something is coming. Something unexpected. Something that may change the direction of this entire story. They cannot explain why. Perhaps it is intuition. Perhaps it is hope refusing to die. Perhaps it is the spiritual bond between two people who are still learning how to meet each other without fear. But they feel that the story is not finished. Not yet. And tonight, or very soon, they may experience a moment that brings all of these emotions to the surface. A memory may return. A name may appear. A dream may shake them. A conversation may open an old wound. Something may happen that makes them pause before taking that final emotional step away from you. This moment will not be meaningless. It will confront them with the one truth they have been trying hardest to escape. They still love you. Maybe not in a perfect way. Maybe not in a simple way. Maybe not in a way they can explain to everyone around them. But the feeling is there. And love that remains after disappointment is not weak. It is evidence that something deeper has been present. Still, love alone does not answer every question. That is why the next revelation matters so much. Your soulmate has made a private promise to themselves. A promise that if they receive no sign, no clarity, no movement, they will begin letting go. They may not know exactly when. They may not have chosen the final day. But in their heart, the decision has already begun forming. And here is what they have not told anyone. They have chosen one last moment to wait. One last emotional opening. One final chance for the energy.